Hello YouTube, back at it with another Sinden Lightgun video, this time with the Raspberry Pi. I believe one of the reasons why I was one of the first people to get the Sinden Lightgun is, because a lot of my videos revolve around the Raspberry Pi. So a new software recently came out from Sinden, it's on their website. So in this video, I'm going to take you step by step on how I installed the software and what systems I was able to get it to work for. Now I have to say, when I started recording this video, I was like, personally, I would rather do this all on a PC just because you can play a lot newer games, like the newer Time Crisis, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can play Techno Parrot, you can play Haunted Museum, you can play House of the Dead 2 and 3 and Overkill. So, but I still, for all you retro people out there, do know that yes, the Sinden Lightgun will work for the NES. That includes Chiller and Duck Hunt. Yes, it works for SNES. You can duplicate a super scope. So you can play Yoshi Safari and Lethal Enforcers for SNES, among other games. And yes, PlayStation 1, it works. You can get it working for Time Crisis and Point Blank 3. And that's exactly what I did in this video. We also got it working for MAME, so Alien 3, Terminator 2, Jurassic Park, Zombie Raid, Area 51, all those will run on the Raspberry Pi 4. So I hate, I'm not knocking the Raspberry Pi 4. I think there's plenty of games to keep you occupied and to justify the price of one of these Sinden light guns. So that's what this video is all about, is getting it working. So you might want to fast forward a little bit till we get to some gameplay towards the end, and then I'll also share with you my final thoughts on what I think about all this. So here I am in my image. You can start with a fresh image or download your, your own pre-built one. Go ahead and go to the RetroPie options menu, and then there should be what's my IP address. Make sure you're connected to the internet either by a wired or wireless connection. You also want to go to the Sinden Lightgun website and download the drivers there. Just go to Sinden Lightgun website and there's like a drivers page. Once you extract the drivers, I see them here on my right, and then I've networked into my Pi on the left. The problem with networking into the Pi is you can't necessarily get to the home directory unless you do like PuTTY or something like that. So I'm just throwing this in my splash screens directory, and then I'm going to move it over. You can also do this via thumb drive. And then now I'm going back to my Pi and accessing the file manager. Home/Pi on the right side, we have the same thing, but basically, remember I have it in my RetroPie and my splash screens. And you actually don't need the whole folder, you just need what's inside of it. So you click this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hit F5, copy this to my home directory, yes. It already is there, overwrite yes. Yours won't say yes. Overwrite all. Same thing here, F5, go ahead, press OK. Yours won't say overwrite all, mine just does because I've done this already. Okay, F5 on this, F5 on this, F5 on this, and then F5 on the setup.sh. Yes, yes. All right. And now you have these folders. If you tab over, you'll have them here. Like I said, you could do this another way by puttying into your system or transferring it via USB. Go ahead and hook up a keyboard. Press F1 or F4 on your keyboard to get to the command line here. And what you want to do is /setup.sh. If that doesn't work, go ahead and try chmod space +x space setup.sh, and then you got to run it again, sudo space /setup.sh, enter. Make sure you do need to be online as well, and this is going to go ahead and put everything in the right directories and run everything correctly. When you're done, go ahead and reboot your Pi. So you've now installed your scripts, and what you'll notice if you go over to your ports, and by the way, if you don't have a ports folder, you might run an error. So if that's the case, go ahead and go into options and RetroPie setup and install like Quake 3 or some other, or like Mario War, or there's some other ported games out there, which will create this ports folder for you. But mine was already created, already had like a bunch of open bore and Quake and stuff in it. And this is where your new Sinden Lightgun software resides. You notice you have a stop, a start for player 1, a start for player 2, a test, and a test. The test one will not only allow you to test your gun, which I highly recommend you click this, and it'll show you a little mouse cursor on the screen, and you can move it around with your gun. If you can't do that, then there's something wrong and you need to, move back a few steps. Or you can skip the testing, or let's say you
you've gotten it to work and you just need to turn it on. Every time you boot up your Pi, you need to go ahead and press start. If you want to stop at any time, you could press this. Now, something else that happens is sometimes weird things will happen where if you open an emulator or if you leave it untouched for a certain amount of time, standby time, it might stop. And sometimes when you start it, it's kind of weird. It might not start back up. You might want to restart. Anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and hit start. And all it does is give you a blank screen. And the only way you'll really know it's working is if you test it, A, first, but 2, when you launch a game here, we'll show you. So now the first thing I wanted to show everyone was Duck Hunt, because that's the classic game here. And there's a lot of footage of all these games and me playing them later in the video as well. And so we'll go over to Duck Hunt and you'll load the game. You definitely want to use this in the FC, I always forget how you pronounce the FCUMM. I'll go ahead and press A on my controller here so you can see which emulator I'm running. And this is running RetroArch. So these are the same settings so this is the Libretto Core version of FCEUMM. So I'm going to go ahead and launch it. And this should also work for your PC in a similar method, the way I'm setting this up. Okay, so what I hit is select an X. Your hotkey might be different to go into RetroArch. And the first thing you want to do is turn on the overlay. So we'll go over to, or actually turn on the Zapper. So you go over here, just Zapper mode, make sure it's on Lightgun, not touchscreen, not mouse, Lightgun. And then make sure you can see the crosshair. That's a good way. You can turn it off later if you want, but it's a good way of knowing like that your Lightgun is working, right? You'll be able to see the crosshair move. If the crosshair doesn't move, then you might want to check that out. Okay, on-screen overlay. This is where you need that white border, and medium works good for this game, but you can play around with the different borders. So you go down to Sinden, and this is what you're going to be doing throughout this tutorial, is saving these overlays on particular emulators. So wide is a full widescreen, but Nintendo was a 4:3 game, so you want to go ahead and do blue, medium, not wide. So this one, oh, I just skipped a bunch, sorry. It's not wide right here, it's medium. So we're going to go ahead and click that, and now you see Sinden border white. You want opacity set to 1. It should be that by default. And then the other things you want to do over here is go to input, go to port 2, because the way Nintendo worked is you would plug your controller in a different port. So device type, change this to Zapper. Sometimes it'll work for auto, but I found Zapper working better for me. And then mouse index should be 0, unless this is a second. If this is your second Zapper, it might be 3, but 0 standard for single player. And then all you're going to do here is this first one is your trigger button on your light gun. So go ahead and click it, click on the gun trigger, and it will bind. I'm shooting this video after the fact, after I already got mine working. So, and then you can set like your left. These are all different ones. It'll tell you when you click on it, like this one is for D-pad right on your controller. You could set all these up, but it really doesn't matter in Duck Hunt, because what you'll be able to do, oh yeah, go ahead and make sure you save all this stuff. So configuration, save on exit, make sure this is on so it saves. And then you can go ahead and go to the quick menu, go over to overrides, save core override. That way it'll save some of these settings. All right, then we're going to go quick menu resume. So you can see the crosshair now, and let's go see me play the game. So what I did there was you use your Xbox 360 controller, which is what I'm using, or whatever controller you're using to, get in the game, and then your Zapper is on port 2, and that'll do all of that. So you'll notice a lot of what we're going to do now for Super Nintendo, and I didn't do Sega Genesis in this video, but it's very similar as far as how it's done. But let me go ahead and show you Super Nintendo, and then I'll show you PlayStation before the video's over, and I'll also show you arcade games as well, so we can get all those in here. Super Nintendo. So I played Yoshi Safari earlier, so you just go Y, Yoshi Safari. This one you just want to use, I want to make sure I give you the right one, because the SN9X, there's a couple versions of it. Well, you'll actually be able to see it right here. SNES 9X, okay? And then similar, you want to go ahead and on-screen overlay, change it from Yoshi's Island. This is going to add that white border that you need for the gun to accurately aim. Medium is fine. Options, go ahead and make sure the light gun is on light gun. not touchscreen. Show light gun settings. You have some additional options here. Nothing you have to change here. And what we'll do here is similar. You go to input. Remember player 2. And this one's a little different because you can do a couple different guns here. Hold on, let me find this. So yeah, you have the Justifier, which is for like lethal enforcers. And then you have the MACS rifle. So depending on the game, so we're in Yoshi Safari, so we want the super scope. And then again, similar to Nintendo, you'll just go down here and then bind your trigger. And you might also want to bind the jump button because there's a jumping mechanism in here, as well as your turbo button as well, because there are some turbo firing in this game. But other than that, you just want to do what we did before. Make sure you're saving your stuff, and you should be good to go. So make sure you save on exit and override the core to save some of these settings. All right, and that'll get you in the game. And now you see that crosshair there, and it should work. All right, and you can play around with the borders. There's thinner ones and thicker ones. It depends on how bright it is in their room and the particular game. So let's go ahead and move to PlayStation, and then we'll do arcade. So I went ahead and installed Point Blank on this image, Point Blank 3. So I'll load that up. And this is just PC rearmed is the emulator. It's a pretty standard one. But this one, it's actually port 1 that you want to set your stuff at. But similar, so on-screen overlay. This one's saved, which is nice. Options. Here you go, pad. For pad 1, you notice it says GunCon. Right? You can change it depending on what you want it to be. So you want to change it to GunCon, and then do your controls, which is in input, player 1, port 1, and then I have an Xbox 360 here, but if you keep scrolling down, here's your light gun controls, your fire, your reload, and this is where start and select might be nice as well. It's like the 4th or 5th one up right here, select, and here's start. Now, again, I don't have my gun plugged in because I'm recording this after I shot all my footage, if you're wondering. But trust me, once you do that and you save it, make sure you save, that's going to be working just fine. And then the last is arcade. This one can be done a couple of different ways depending on what emulator you're using. I'm going to be using MAME 2016 on a lot of these games. So this particular image is the Wolfenose image, by the way, that he released a while ago. I believe it's like a 256, and he has a light gun directory. And so I played Alien 3. Let's go ahead and load that game up. But this has a ton of light gun games. And the one thing you need to do in RetroArch is turn on your mouse, because it's going to be mimicking a mouse. Turn on your overlays like we've been doing. And then it helps if you enter in a keyboard at this point. I know other emulators will allow you to do this without a keyboard, but for this particular tutorial, trust me, it's a lot easier if you use a keyboard. All right, so let's go ahead and do the RetroArch stuff first, which is X. Go ahead and do your overlay. Change it to your Sinden light gun, medium. And then go back, options. In-game mouse should be in here somewhere. Make sure this is on, which it is. That's all you should have to do in here. And just save, right? Then you want to go ahead and hit tab. When you hit tab, go ahead and do input. For this machine, it's just easier. And you can see I've set my my controls here. You want mouse button 1 for your trigger. AD stick X, you want to wave your gun from left to right until you get it to say mouse X. And then Y analog, wave your mouse, your stick up and down. If you're unclear of what I'm saying right here, go watch my other video on how to set up MAME for the Raspberry Pi. It's exactly the same. You're just using the Sinden light gun instead of the aim track or a Wii remote. When you're done with this, you can hit escape. These analog controls right here do change your experience. So you might want to play with these controls. If it's too fast or too slow, you can change the sensitivity here. And then don't forget to also make sure you have a coin button and a start button as well. Or just a coin button in this particular game. Okay, select, and then you can start playing once you have that set up. Crosshair off.
This is the original NES for.
Perfect. So this was Lethal Enforcers for the SNES, and as you see, I got it working, except I need to change my gun a little bit. It's a little bit to the left across here. Pop it. Working.
First thing I would say is this is the first version of the software. So for example, calibration, they're going to incorporate a calibration menu within Linux. Thus, instead of just a test screen, you can actually calibrate, move the cursor left or right to get an even more accurate experience. That's one reason why I might prefer a PC over a Pi right now. But no, this gun just came out, and if the community rises up behind it, you know, I can only see it getting better. So keep that in mind. The software is in its first iteration, new features coming soon. The second thing I didn't show you in the video was a lot of this I was doing step by step from the write-up that they provided at Sinden. And I have to say there was a lot of trial and error for me, so I hope my video is a little more helpful for especially those visual learners. But note there's a couple caveats in there. For example, there's a manual thing you need to do for certain Sega systems, which I didn't go into, and then there is a manual way of adjusting like the brightness and some other things of using some code and downloading some of their files on GitHub. All that documentation is included in when you download the drivers from their website, so keep that in mind. What are my overall thoughts on the Sinden Lightgun as far as adding this accessory to your Raspberry Pi and having it as part of your arcade or your retro gaming setup? Heck yes. You know, this stuff is getting more and more expensive, like a Raspberry Pi 4 with all the things you need and controllers. Like I've said many times before, you're talking at least $100. So to then go out, and yes, I know this with recoil is about 150, I want to say, and without, I think it's like somewhere between 100 and 120. I definitely think it's worth it. And then remember, you don't have to keep it with your Pi. You can move it between systems and all sorts of things. So do I think it's worth it? Yes, especially when you consider your other options. Now, Wii Remote would be the only thing that is cheaper, but I really feel like this offers a superior experience. And then as far as this versus an aim track, you're almost talking apples to apples as far as price. So I would be a little more stoked for this particular one myself. So for you retro people out there that love the Super Scope, you love the Zapper, you love the, you loved Point Blank 3 and the original Time Crisis, this will light your nostalgia up a lot. The only thing I really missed out on was I really wish this was the recoil version, especially in Time Crisis. I love that recoil action. It would have been really cool. That being said, there's like 50, 100 games that you could play on the Raspberry Pi 4 that'll emulate just fine and support this gun. That to me is justification to go out and order this thing. So I had a lot of fun once I got it all working, and there's still some experimentation I could do with those borders. I pretty much defaulted to medium on all of them. I didn't mess with the blue one or the white one. And also, if you notice, I kind of shot in the same place. But no, in my other videos, and I've been making a couple other videos with this gun, you can see I can go all the way to the left or all the way to the right. You can move the gun around, and it's not reliant on an IR bar. So you're not gonna mess, you don't really mess that up, which is something I love about this gun, that it can, you can move wherever you want, you can go far, you can go close. I'm still gonna do another video though about like on a big screen TV and farther back. We'll do that in a separate video. So this should have got you set up on the Raspberry Pi. Please comment below if you have any questions or you want me to try anything else out. But I think the majority of you'll play these systems I played and those games I played. The only thing I didn't show you is like where to get ROMs, but just Google, you can find a lot of these ROMs out there, and then the setup is pretty similar, whether you're using a pre-installed image or you're building your own from scratch. So with all that said, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.